Du 14 au 15 novembre 2025, le Réseau des femmes leaders pour le développement a organisé à Accra une formation régionale réunissant acteurs de la société civile, défenseurs des droits humains et membres du réseau UC. Lors de cette formation, un panel a porté sur la cartographie des opportunités et espaces de plaidoyer 2025-2026. L'objectif était d'identifier les espaces d'influence disponibles et de renforcer les stratégies du plaidoyer pour les années à venir.
There are some long issues there. So we have to map out advocacy spaces and opportunities with all the information that Mr. Sher has shared with us. It's important for us to begin to reflect and to begin to discuss among ourselves on spaces in which we currently occupy. I think we don't need to raise question around some of the developments within our spaces. We know it. The space in which we operate is getting reduced day after day. Our freedoms are being curtailed, and the responses from policymakers and supposed custodians is getting tougher, unlike in the past. And the most shocking thing for me where I sit is that the kind of measures and responses coming from supposed democratic regimes sometimes even appear worse than the military, right? So this is to tell us that we as human rights defenders, we as advocates, as activists, as journalists and investigative journalists, if you like, digital actors, if you like, we need to begin to re-strategize the notion of advocacy and how we do it, especially how we do it effectively, efficiently, and safe, which is very important. You also agree with me that, and if some of you will be joining us next week, one of the items on the agenda is to recognize our colleagues that are supposed to be in this room, even in this very room. But you know why they are not here? Because they chose to be at the front line. And being at the front line means some of them who have been killed, have disappeared. I have a colleague from Burkina Faso, Usman. I saw him last. We were supposed to see in Dakar sometimes in April, and at the airport he disappeared. And I haven't heard from him. There are so many people, so many actors, activists like you and I, who are supposed to be in this room having this conversation, but the only offense they committed, they went to the front line instead. Not in this air-conditioned room, not with pen and paper, but with their voice, their identity at the front line, and they never return.
Le panel s'est appuyé sur des méthodes interactives, études de cas, exercices de groupe, jeux de rôle, présentations multimédia et témoignages de praticiens. 2 présentations clés ont été faites. Plaidoyer en Afrique, ce qui fonctionne, exemple d'action de plaidoyer réussi. Les participants ont ensuite travaillé en groupe pour répondre à 2 questions. Dans quel espace de plaidoyer sont-ils engagés? Comment intégrer les résultats de l'atelier dans leurs actions?
That is supposed to be a counter report to the state review. So when the state sends their reports to the review and we send ours is used to compare with what the state is doing.
I think the emphasis of advocacy has always been the strength in numbers. And what I've experienced is that strength in numbers also means the multiplication of resources.
Les échanges ont permis de dégager les pistes concrètes pour renforcer le plaidoyer dans la région africaine.
This year is almost done, but believe me, next year has a whole lot in stock. So we're going to be looking at advocacy in Africa, what works, where, and how. And I really appreciate the fact that we are from diverse countries. I do tell people in my advocacy journey that a strategy that would work and deliver results in Ghana, if you try it in Nigeria, you will be shocked. And a strategy that would be so successful in Nigeria, when you take it to Guinea-Conakry, you will be shocked. So for me as an advocate, I tell people advocacy is context specific. Your context is important. How you relate with your actors is a matter of how your context is defined. So as an advocate, you dare not embark on any engagement without having full understanding of your context, the do's and the don'ts. So we're going to look a bit about that and some of the successful actions that some of us in this room, I mean, I look around the room and I can tie a number of successes to a number of us in this room. Some of the successes that we have recorded as actors, what worked well, what made those actions successful, what were the indicators, what were the tools, the resources that we used that made them successful. And then at some point we will go into a very brief group conversation, maybe like 4 groups or 3 groups, just so you have more room and space to share your experience and then we have it documented. And for you to act, I was talking about actions. Action relies a lot on people. You can't do it alone. You cannot, no matter how enriched your organization is, no matter how loud your voice is, you cannot do it alone. You need to connect with people. And then this will lead us to impact. So the other thing I also want to establish before we go into group, as we move on in this advocacy, is what exactly has worked for us in the past. I'm sure we all have our ideas, we have our experiences. I've had the opportunity to work across 16 countries. But of course, I still believe that your local knowledge, experience, what you experienced in the field will come to play when we go into group conversation. Right. But one thing stands strong.